The city-state of Singapore is one of the world's smallest and most densely populated countries. More than half of Singapore's total area of 250 square miles lies under urban and industrial land use. Of the rest, some remains under rubber and coconut plantations, but most is taken up by military uses, gardens, cemeteries, and other public spaces. Here is a good example of site limitation as a constraint on growth. Singapore is an island state separated from its nearest neighbor, Malaysia, to the north by the Johor Strait, which in the west narrows to a mere 700 yards in width. The country's crucial mainland connection is the Johor Causeway, and another bridge is under construction here to the west. The Johor Causeway carries not only road and rail traffic, but also Singapore's crucial water supply. On the map, note the group of islands to the southwest. These play a role in our story. But what Singapore lacks in terms of site, it more than makes up for in geographic situation. At the tip of the Malaysian peninsula, Singapore occupies a crucial point in all of Southeast Asia, at the end of the Strait of Malacca, at the head of the South China Sea, at the southeast corner of the Asian landmass, and at the convergence of over 500 shipping routes that span the globe. By some measures, Singapore today is the world's busiest port. At any given time, more than 700 ships are in the harbor or at anchor. Singapore has become the world's largest bunkering port and is the world's third largest oil refining center. With some 3 million residents, land is obviously at a premium in Singapore. The great majority of the people live in high-rise apartment buildings that cover the countryside like a concrete forest. Singapore, furthermore, is one of the Pacific Rim's economic tigers. Financial institutions, corporate offices, and other service industries vie for space here. As a result, Singapore's skyline has become one of the world's most spectacular, a symbol of the country's regional prominence. Ever since Singapore became an independent state in 1965, its government has vigorously pursued two spatial objectives. One is an urban development plan that addresses the problems inherent in the country's limited space. Partly as a result, Singapore is one of the most orderly cities in the world today, with wide avenues, spacious promenades, and substantial recreational facilities. The other objective is to physically enlarge the country's area. A close look at Singapore's map proves that this is not just one main island about 26 miles long and 14 miles wide, but a group of islands, of which Singapore is by far the largest. Offshore lie about 60 islands, some of them of economic importance. One of these, Sentosa, was once a British military base. Sentosa has been connected to the main island by a bridge and by a cable car system and is now devoted to resort development and recreation. Singapore's famous Merlion has overlooked the mouth of the Singapore River for many years, symbolizing Singapore's maritime location and the fauna that once roamed here. Today, the lion overlooks a massive land reclamation project that will extend the banks of the Singapore River way into the bay. The Raffles Hotel is a Singapore landmark. Today, the old historic hotel is surrounded by high-rises. Viewing it today, it's hard to believe that Raffles once stood near the Singapore shoreline. But urban expansion on reclaimed land has encircled this landmark. Even nearby Chinatown now lies cut off from the waterfront by high-rises of recent vintage. Singapore is the world's third largest oil refining complex, and the facilities are situated on a group of islands southwest of the main island. On several of these islands, equipment and storage and transfer tanks take up every foot of available land. Space here, too, is at a premium, and a massive land reclamation program is in the planning stages. The shallow passages between the islands will be diked and filled, and the land area available for refinery and petrochemical development will be much expanded. Over the last 3 decades, Singapore has added 10.5 square miles of land to its territory, expanding its total area by more than 4%. The process continues because in crowded, urbanized Singapore, every square foot matters.